Two guys, same city, same year, same $40,000 in their bank accounts. One buys a house, the other buys stocks. 20 years later, both are wealthy, but their lives look completely different. One gets a call at 2 in the morning because a pipe burst. The other is on a beach in Portugal, watching his portfolio grow while he sleeps. This is not a story about who won. This is a story about how they won and which path is actually right for you. Stay with me. By the end of this video, you're going to see the real math, the real costs, and the real truth that most financial influencers never tell you. Let me introduce you to two guys. First, Jake. Jake is 28 years old. He is ambitious, hands-on, and he does not trust Wall Street. He watched his dad lose money in the 2008 crash, and he decided he would never depend on numbers on a screen. Jake wants something real, something he can touch, something he can drive past and say, I own that. He wants cash flow. He wants control. And he is willing to work for it. Then there is Marcus. Marcus is also 28. He is calm, analytical, and values his time more than anything. He wants his money working quietly in the background while he lives his life. He wants simplicity. He wants freedom. Same starting point. Same $40,000. Completely different philosophies. It is 2004. Jake finds a property worth $200,000. He puts down $40,000 and takes a mortgage of $160,000. His monthly payment is around $960. He rents the property for $1,500 per month. On paper, he is making $540 per month. Jake thinks he is making money in his sleep. Marcus invests his $40,000. He puts $6,000 into a Roth IRA. The rest goes into an S&P 500 index fund. He also invests $500 every month. At an average 10% return, after 1 year, his investment becomes about $43,993. Not exciting, but it is working. For the first few years, Jake is doing great. His tenant pays on time. Property value increases. He buys a second property. Everything looks perfect. But in year 5, his phone rings at 2 in the morning. The heating and air system stops working. The cost is $8,500. He does not have that money available, so he uses a credit card. For the first time, Jake starts to question his decision. Here is what most people do not talk about. Property taxes increase every year. Insurance becomes expensive and sometimes difficult to get. A single storm can remove your coverage. Big expenses always come. A roof or heating system can cost $10,000 to $15,000. HOA. Fees can be $350 per month. Vacancies can last for months. That $540 per month now feels closer to $100 to $200. Real estate does not just pay you. Sometimes it demands money from you. Jake learns how to use the system. Depreciation allows him to reduce his taxable income. Later, he uses a 1031 exchange. He sells a property and reinvests without paying taxes immediately. Marcus also uses smart strategies. His Roth IRA grows, tax-free. His 401k reduces his taxable income. Different strategies, same goal. Marcus can sell his investments in about 2 days. Jake may take months to sell a property, and he pays 5 to 6% in fees. Real estate makes you rich on paper. Stocks make you rich at the ATM. Jake used $40,000 to control a $200,000 property. That is leverage. When prices go up, returns increase. But when prices fall, losses also increase. There are also modern options. REITs allow you to invest in real estate like stocks. House hacking allows you to live in one unit and rent out others. Smarter ways to start exist today. 20 years later, both are successful. Jake owns properties worth over $1 million. After debt, his equity is around $700,000. He earns about $3,200 per month. Marcus has a portfolio of around $700,000. It is liquid, passive, and simple. Both are wealthy. But Jake built a business. Marcus built freedom. The best investment is not the one that makes the most money. It is the one you can follow consistently for 20 years. But here is the part most people completely miss. And honestly, this might be the most important thing I say in this entire video. Everyone talks about the money, the returns, the appreciation, the compound interest. But nobody talks about what each path actually costs you in time, in energy, in mental space. Because here is the truth. Time is the one thing you cannot buy back. Jake learned this the hard way. By year 7, Jake had 2 properties. On paper, he was doing well. His net worth was growing. His equity was building. But here is what his average week actually looked like. Monday morning, a tenant emails him. The garbage disposal is broken. He calls a handyman, coordinates a time, follows up twice because the handyman does not show up the first day. Wednesday evening, he is reviewing lease agreements for a new tenant because the last one gave 30 days notice with no warning. Friday afternoon, his property manager calls. There is a dispute between tenants in his second property. One of them is threatening to withhold rent. And Saturday, when his friends are watching football or spending time with family, Jake is driving 45 minutes to check on a property because something does not look right from the photos his manager sent. This is not a bad life. Jake chose it. He knew what he was signing up for. But it is a second job, a real one. And most real estate beginners do not understand that until they are already in it. Marcus's week looked nothing like that. Marcus woke up Monday, made coffee, and went to work. His investments did not ask him for anything. They did not call, they did not email, they did not need his attention. Every month, $800 moved automatically from his checking account into his index fund. He did not have to remember to do it. He did not have to think about it. The system handled it. He had mental space. And that mental space allowed him to be present in other areas of his life in ways Jake simply could not be during those years. This is what people mean when they talk about passive income. Not just money you do not work for, but peace you do not have to fight for. Now let us talk about the emotional side of this, because nobody talks about this enough. Investing is not just a financial decision. It is a psychological one. Jake dealt with uncertainty on a regular basis, and I am not talking about market numbers on a screen. I am talking about real, physical, unpredictable problems. A tenant stops paying rent and you cannot evict them quickly because of local laws. A property sits empty for 3 months during a slow rental market. A contractor disappears halfway through a renovation and you lose $4,000 in 6 weeks of time. A neighborhood changes over 5 years and suddenly your property is harder to rent and harder to sell. Every single one of these things happened to real landlords this year, and every single one of them causes a specific kind of stress that is hard to describe until you have felt it. It is not the stress of a bad day at work. It is the stress of an asset you cannot control, tied to debt you are responsible for, with people living inside it who have legal rights you have to navigate carefully. Jake handled it. He grew from it. But there were months, real months, where he questioned everything. Marcus had stress too. Do not let anyone tell you the stock market is emotionally easy. When 2008 hit and his portfolio dropped nearly 40% in 12 months, Marcus watched years of growth disappear on a spreadsheet. That is not nothing. That hurts. But here is the key difference. Marcus's worst-case scenario was that his numbers went down temporarily on a screen. Jake's worst-case scenario involved debt, legal disputes, physical property, and cash flow, stopping while the mortgage kept going. Both are stressful, but they are not the same kind of stress. And for a beginner, that distinction matters enormously. Speaking of worst-case scenarios, let us actually walk through what happens when things go seriously wrong for both of them. For Jake, the nightmare scenario looks like this. A major economic downturn hits. Unemployment rises. His tenants lose their jobs and cannot pay rent. One property sits vacant for 5 months. The other tenant stops paying, but legally, Jake cannot remove them for 4 months because of eviction laws. His mortgage payments do not stop. His insurance does not stop. His property taxes do not stop. He is now paying out of pocket every single month to hold assets that are not producing income. And if he does not have a strong emergency fund, which most beginners do not, he is in serious trouble. We saw this happen to thousands of landlords during 2020. It was not theoretical, it was real. For Marcus, the nightmare scenario is a major market crash. His portfolio drops 30 to 40%. Everything he built looks like it is falling apart. But here's what history shows us every single time. The S&P 500 has recovered from every single crash in its history. If Marcus stays calm, keeps investing, and does not sell in a panic, time will do the work. The key word there is consistency. And that brings me to beginner mistakes. For real estate beginners, the number one mistake is buying without an emergency fund. People save up their $40,000, put it all into a down payment, and then have nothing left when something breaks or a tenant leaves unexpectedly. Before you buy a rental property, you should have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses plus a reserve fund. The second big mistake is choosing the wrong tenant. A bad tenant can cost you more than months of vacancy. For stock market beginners, the number one mistake is panic selling. The market drops and people sell out of fear. They lock in losses and miss the recovery. The second mistake is inconsistency. Investing irregularly destroys the power of compounding. Now imagine this. It is a normal weekday morning. Jake wakes up and already has messages about property issues. He starts his day solving problems. Marcus wakes up and starts his day peacefully. His investments are running in the background. Jake has built strong assets and income. Marcus has built freedom and simplicity. Both paths work, but they feel very different. So what should you do? If you are a beginner, start with stocks. Open a Roth IRA. Invest regularly. Even $100 per month is enough to begin. As your income grows, use a 401k if available. If you want to move into real estate later, do it with preparation. Build savings. Understand risks. Treat it like a business. If you want both, start with stocks and add real estate later. But here is the most important idea. Wealth is not built in one big moment. It is built through small, consistent decisions over many years. Marcus did not succeed because of one perfect investment. Jake did not succeed because of one perfect property. They succeeded because they stayed consistent. For 20 years, time is your most powerful asset. Most people waste it waiting. You do not need to feel ready. You just need to start. The worst decision is doing nothing. Jake understood that. Marcus understood that. Now you understand it too.